Good evening, YouTube. How art thou? Hope everyone is having a relaxing evening. If you are a TI, the likelihood of that is probably lower than normal. So I sympathize because I have been there for a very long time. And, but this is what I feel like I come here for, is to talk to people about this. I remember when I first came on here, after I was more or less like done telling my personal story, and I used to encourage people, and it was one of my favorite times was when I got to encourage people. I knew that that was a problem, and I knew that I was problematic because of the kind of attacks that I went through. I remember one time all I said was God loves you, and these people still threw attacks for that, and I was like, wait a minute, there's something deeper to this thing about this message that I have to give here. Now, I realize that there's been a crazy attack on me giving the messages. Like from the time I got this YouTube up and started, my gosh, has it been like wild. The spell work has been crazy. And I've been thinking to myself, why do they hate my mother so much? What is it? It's taken a while to get here with the understanding. So I just want to give a disclaimer before I start on my messages that this is the most important thing to me. Is these messages. It is more important than my work, than anything else. Like, this is the most important work that I'm doing here. And so I am going to be very, very, very deliberate in making sure that these messages are carried out. Not just delivering the messages and delivering the information and motivating people, not just that, in the right temperament, calmly and intolerant of spell work. Very important to understand. We will no longer be putting up with spell work on the messages. I put the disclaimer out, so I will not be repeating it. There was a time where God was holding me back from people who persecute me. But I have been delayed for a long. There were times I would come on here. It would take so much effort to come on here to do this. And I don't know if people notice how aggressive the energy has been recently. That when God says, no, do not do something, and people do it the next day, it causes a problem, a major problem. That is how it's going to be moving forward. It's going to be catastrophic for small actions. Very small things are going to be dealt with in a drastic, over-exaggerated way. Because we cannot continue to be delayed on our messages. I will not be delayed in my mission. This right here has been fought. We have fought a war over this that has taken years, and I am strong enough to do my job, and I will. I'll be very heavy-handed with it. That is my disclaimer. I will not ever again feel the need to repeat it. It's not a warning, it's a disclaimer. I'm not going to feel the need to repeat it. I will just act accordingly. So, today I am talking about the same thing that I talked about yesterday, and the same thing that I'm going to be talking about forever. And that is the divine feminine. So yesterday I started talking about Santa Muerte, which is, um, in English, it's the saint of death. That's how people know her as an energy. And I was looking up like little facts today because I wanted to kind of like deliver, like, because she's very she's very well known in other parts of the world. I'm sure in Latin America in general, but I really know of Mexico more than anything. And um, where she has a very like huge, proud following. Um, I'm sure in other, parts of South America as well. But for me, I want to talk about her, how I know her, because I feel like you can just Google the facts. You can just Google anywhere whatever you want to know about her. I don't really resonate with everything that people know of her because I didn't go seek her and I wasn't open to like spell work and any of that initially when I met her. So I'm going to describe her how I know her, and I'm going to introduce her in my own way. And we have a completely different crowd here in North America. We are in a society that is not yet open to spirituality in the way that Latin Americans are. Latin Americans are like just grew up. Like it's not just Latin Americans, it's also like African, everywhere else in the world, Europe included. People are more spiritual, except for North America. North America is an experiment, in my opinion. It's just an experiment to me. Every other, because it's a very new, I wouldn't call it a civilization yet. It's a very new settlement. And the rest of the world is very old. So they have the privilege of having many, many, many years of acquired knowledge and information that has come from their environment. It hasn't been put together strategically for a purpose, meaning that they haven't devised the information. So, in other parts of the world, simple things like monitoring like the seasons and the stars and, thinking about what happens after death and being open to feeling energy and living with nature being a life force of its own. So, not looking at nature as just trees that we cut down to build houses or, rivers that we, I don't know, wash clothes in or whatever, but really looking at the elements as life and as a part of us and honoring our spiritual bodies as well, honoring our souls. And it allows one to develop healthy respect for not just nature, but for human life in a certain way. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't fight wars and they weren't all of these things. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that there are values that people in these parts of the world have. So, for example, things like honoring ancestors who passed away, honoring your dead, being so close to the spirit realm that you can conjure up this energy of not just spirit but of nature and utilize that energy, manipulate that energy to bring about results that you want. So whether you're looking at parts of Europe, especially Eastern Europe, India, China, South America, Central America, Africa, wherever have you, all of these parts of the world, though a lot of these parts are modernized now, there still is a rich culture and history that respects spirituality. And One of the things that comes from respecting spirituality, truly respecting it. I'm not saying dabbling in it. I'm not saying doing spell work. I'm not saying playing around in it. I'm saying when you respect spirituality and you approach it as a practice, you approach it as a journey, you approach it as something that will evolve, something you can pass down, not something you use for profit, not something you use for self-aggrandizement, which is like this new term that I absolutely love. Something that you respect, you have to learn it, you have to understand it, you don't just race into it. Even if you have gifts, even if you have spiritual authority, it takes a little bit of time to understand not what you can do, but the ramifications of putting the energy out. The ramifications of how you treat everything, how you treat yourself. Making connections, something that we call like a philosophical sort of approach. But really, it is gaining an understanding first before you jump in head first, because these things create consequences that cannot be easily fixed. The spiritual world is a place where everybody must follow spiritual law, no matter who you are. No matter who you are, we all follow spiritual law, even the most high gods, because they are in place for a reason. They are in place for peace. They are in place for organization. The spiritual law is in place so chaos does not erupt. I'll give you an example. One such spiritual law is that spirits need authority to operate in your life. They need your express permission. Now, one thing you will learn is that even demons respect that spiritual law. What entities do is entities find loopholes and get things done. So there's all kinds of loopholes. They might find a loophole because they don't tell you the full truth, they don't tell you the ramifications, they don't tell you the timeline, whatever have you. However, they respect the spiritual law. What they'll do is they'll get somebody else to do the work, somebody else to break the rule, and then that way that person faces the consequences and they run off scotch-free. The disadvantage or advantage, however you might look at it, that spirits have is they don't get to die. They don't get the comfort of thinking that they're gonna die and start over fresh and not pay for it. They are already like they're already in a spirit form, in a soul form. So the ramifications of their actions will be paid. They know that. They understand that. So they're not under the illusion that, well, if I break the rule now, I can somehow get out of it, or I'll die out of it and they know. So they are less likely, and I would say I think they don't do it, no matter what kind of entity it is. It doesn't mean they don't trick people and they don't do horrible things. It just means that they know how to go about it. We have to treat spirituality with respect. Not just because of how powerful this, I don't know what to call it, would I call it a place? Not just because of how powerful this place is, or this power is, but because we are not more powerful than it, and we are not more cunning than spirits. They've been around long enough. They know the lay of the land. It's not even safe as a human being to be in the spiritual world without protection. It is one of the scariest things to do, because you leave yourself just open to anything happening. So being in the spiritual realm and energies are approaching you, or you're going out looking for energies to approach, looking for energies to work with, you will find yourself in nightmarish situations that have ramifications that we are not prepared to deal with. So while I want to encourage everybody to go in the spirit and to explore that, I have to add all the caution tapes and the considerations and everything around it. It is not safe. It is not a safe place to be by yourself. Okay, that's like going on safari is fun, but maybe you should be in like a caged truck. Maybe you should not be with the wild animals, just on foot for your first time. Like just things like that. Like it's just be safe. And to me, I feel like it's exactly like that. One of the benefits of these really old societies, I'm talking about civilizations. These really old civilizations respected divine feminine energy. Women were worshipped. Now, it's logical. Think about it. Think about the first set of people, like where men realize that they can copulate with women, and then all of a sudden the woman's pregnant, and they're like, what is going on? What is happening? And then all of a sudden, a child comes out who's a human being, who looks like them, and they realize that she can do something they can't do. Like she can make life happen. That was probably fascinating to early civilizations. The second thing that I would say right off the bat, imagine how men, and they still do, feel when they see a woman that, of course, that they're attracted to, how mesmerized they are, how it changes their personality, how they knew themselves as this one person, but now they're behaving like this, and this is odd, and this is scary, and they're a little bit nervous of her, but they're in love with her, and they don't know what this is. What is this? What is this feeling of love? What is this spell? And they're probably thinking like, what did she do to me that I feel like this? And then imagine them deciding that they want to be around her all the time, and she just knows things all the time. So if something happened when they're away and they come back, she tells him this happened, and he's like, what? And then he gets to the point where he's like, I can't hide anything from this person. So hold on. First of all, I used to be brutish, and this person has made me very soft and loving. It feels like a spell, and she can give life, and she knows things, she dreams things, she sees things, she feels things. What is this creature? What is this? I'm not like this. There's just some of the examples. It's very understandable that men would fall in love with women like this, and men would honor women and worship women in this way. Because think about how the very first men felt about this. Now, we're talking about a time where people had no makeup. There's no curling irons, there's no plastic surgery, there's none of the above. Because men like to say, oh, women are so beautiful. When they have money, they go to the salon, they look da-da-da, but when they take it out, they look like us, da-da-da-da. It's a new age North American way of thinking. We are very different than men. It is what it is. This was before all of that. And a woman can have a daughter that looks like her father, or a son that looks like her. It's not really about all of that. It's not about comparing the looks or whatnot. It's just about the fact that we are very different. And we are, unfortunately, in a time where we are in gender wars. Hold on. So, where was I? Yes, we are in a time where we have gender wars, unfortunately. So we are in a season in I don't want to say North America. It's like it's been a slow but strategic thing. It's been about destabilizing the family structure. So we've been in seasons where they promote division between men and women. And sometimes I think that, well, not sometimes, I think that whenever, it's always as a society that people do things. So whenever you see men that honor women, that love women, that are vulnerable with women, you always find that their counterparts or other men always have something to say, and they emasculate that man and they say things about him. And unfortunately, that's not the case. So one of the things that, in my experience, when I first kind of got into the level of spirituality that I'm in right now, was we've always placed men as a society on some type of pedestal and tried to write women off as unimportant and not mention women in the Bible and not mention women in holy books and not have women participate out of intimidation, really. But when I got into the spirit, my father does not sit on the throne at all. My mother sits on the throne. And so when I first started praying, I put him on the throne and she took him off and she sat there, and I was like, wait, does that just mean it's because she's my higher self? Is that the reason she wanted to be in the middle? But no, that's just how it is. She is a female king. And the interesting part of that is that I'm more scared of him than I am of her. She is very powerful, but the looks do not match what I feel and and I'm going to talk about that today. He, however, is all power. He's very masculine, and that does not mean aggressive. He is very in touch with his emotions, which is shocking to see. And that doesn't mean that he's vulnerable. He's vulnerable in his emotions, I can say that. But also, he's a man. Like, he's, whatever he says, like, we respect. But he does this in such a way where he is not intimidated by her being on the throne and by her leading the charge on a lot of things. He's very relaxed. It's a very beautiful dynamic to see. But I've seen this dynamic in other people's families before anyway. People who've been married a long time usually have that dynamic where the father's very laid back. The mother does everything. She'll decorate the house, she'll spend the money, she'll decide what they buy, she'll do all of this. But when he finally says something, he doesn't say much. Everybody just goes along with whatever he says. That's the kind of dynamic it is. Now, my mother is king. She's very powerful. I wish I could, she looks like the pictures, okay? And when she, I don't even know how to describe her. Like, it's insane. It's a paradox. She's a paradox. But how do I even put this in words? It's a very weird thing. She's the one that will advocate for femininity, that will advocate to be soft. She will advocate know when to talk and know when to be quiet, know when to just agree, and know when to push your point. Even though she's king and she's a warrior goddess, she's not abrasive. It is insane to feel this energy and to embody this energy. It is insane. The way women lead is very different from the way men lead. Men are more overt is the best way that I can think of with their authority. And women are very quiet with their authority. Women are very gentle with their authority. There are some women who are abrasive. There are some women who are in masculine energy, and it's like you do this or else and all of that. And then there are some women who don't even have to ask for what they want. They always get what they want. They've never asked for it. They're very gentle. They make a suggestion and you take it. You care about their opinion. That is how my mother is. She does not have to ask anyone for anything. We always want to give her something. She's very gentle and kind-hearted and patient and loving and soft and sweet and a warrior goddess at the same time. It makes no sense. It's a juxtaposition. It is just, it doesn't make any sense, but it is flawless to see in action. And I always think to myself, what a prize. Like, anybody would want someone like that. Like, anyone would feel extremely lucky to be in the presence of an energy like this. That those two energies, divine energy of masculine, feminine, mother and father, the way that they interact with each other, it's very unique. So these are the kind of things that I'm going to be talking about, like, moving forward. But let me start with some of the stuff that I have written down. So I wanted to start with 5 facts because that were not on the internet, because this is my take, this is my experience. And I would like the opportunity to introduce her properly, not just as the saint of death, because I don't think that I think that is a very limited perspective of who she is and what she's about. So the first things first is she is a mother first. She's a mother and a wife first, above all else. Before what she needs of you, she is a mother first. She is kind. I cannot stress that enough. She's gentle. She is absolutely beautiful. So I was listening about her today, and where they were saying something about, well, she's a skeleton, but you know, people describe her as very beautiful, and you wouldn't think that, her devotees. And I smiled because I'm like, I think she's extremely beautiful. And I think it's the energy. The energy. I have been around so many spirits and nothing feels like this. This is the energy of love. So if I were to name her, I would have named her the Saint of Love. I would not have named her the Saint of Death. I would have named her the Saint of Love, which I think she is, because she is love. Her energy is the energy of love. Being a mother first, and I think the perfect example of a wife, of what a wife should be. I look at their interaction, I'm like, anybody would want this. Being a mother first enables her to then, and I'm speaking from my perspective, I don't want to say this too matter-of-factly, but I'm speaking from what I feel like I observe. It enables her, it's almost like the driving force behind her being a protector. It's the driving force behind her being a strategic warrior, such an effective warrior. It's the driving force behind her always being able to get things done. She comes into situations where it's delicate, meaning that it's not just about one side. It's not just about brute force to eliminate an opponent. It is about looking at the whole situation as a whole, and she always wants to bring about a win-win result. I don't know how she does that all the time, because sometimes I'm like, there's some parts of it, to me, in my human mind, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to be win-win, But they always manage and they work as a team, but she always manages to deal with situations that are very delicate. Her love is very obvious if you can feel love. If you can't feel love, you're going to always interpret love, whether it's from spirit or it's from other people, in a skewed way, because you just don't have the right components to be able to be a conductor. So it gets blocked. However, literally, I think the fact that we have to, when we say the saint of death, we don't think about her enough as a mother. And I think she needs to be reintroduced as a mother, because she is the literal blueprint, the embodiment of divine femininity. And that's my second point. She is a mother first and foremost. Now, when you first, my mind was going to say get initiated, but I don't want to look at it like that. When you first wake up spiritually and you experience her, the way you experience her, I think, I mean, we call her mother. I don't know if people look at it as literally as I do. I literally look at her as like the way people look at like their literal mother. I'm not looking at it like that. It is what it is. And from that perspective, that's all I can see. It just is very natural to see her that way. So I don't see her as like scary or any of these things that people have like. The fact that she can be associated with some of these organizations, and the fact that she can be both on the side of like the police who have to do the work and the criminals who are in that situation, is a mother. That is why that's a mother, because she sees it from all people, from everybody's perspective. While we might see people who are selling drugs and whatever one way, she sees what drove them to do it. She sees that they're stuck in a cycle. She sees that they're spiritually binded. She sees that they're constantly scared for their life. And so she addresses them as what she sees, because she sees the best in all of us. So she can be both on the side of the people who are trying to protect society and the people who are looked at as the villains in society. That's what a mother can do. A mother can have a child who's a literal criminal, and though she may not agree with it, she will still show up to the prison every Sunday with like a dinner. I don't know if you could bring food there or whatever, but she'll still show up, because nothing is going to take away not just the love, but nothing takes away you seeing your child as your child. So you're still going to find compassion some way, even when they upset you, even when they're going the wrong way. This is the energy that she is. And above all, I really want to stress how patient she is. It's unreal. Sometimes I'm like, this is insane. This is a lot too. And she always encourages us to be like that. I'm like, these are big shoes to fill in regards to that. So she's a mother and a protector first. Number 2, she is God in feminine form. They are just two halves of a whole, but they are the same energy. One is just expressed in a masculine way, and the other is expressed in a feminine way. She is just the expression of fertility, of life, of love, of nurturing, and all of that. And whereas God in masculine form as a father is a protector, one who is, you know how, like a father would be concerned about things like resources, would be concerned about things like making sure everybody's safe, things of that nature. It is expressed in different ways, but it's just two halves of the same thing, the same energy. They are both loving, they are both kind, they are both long-suffering, they are both patient. They just express themselves in different ways. Um, she is the universe. So she is literally the energy of, like I said, of nature, of the trees, of streams, of river. Like she is literally the energy of the earth. Um, Number three, she presides in all dimensions. So whereas God the Father as a father energy does not leave heaven, does not leave the sky, just stays there and fights from that position, wages war from that position. And you have to think about it like Zeus sending an arrow down or a thunderbolt down. Literally, that's what it looks like. She can go anywhere. And this is what makes her extremely important and a huge asset to have. She can go in every corner, the underworld especially, and include, she still loves energies that are down there, that are trapped down there. This is how a mother is. And you cannot change that. And I've seen it over and over, and I'm like that. Like, what can you ever tell a mother to change her mind about her children? What can they ever do to run from her love? It's just how it is. So energies everywhere are devoted to her, especially in the underworld, especially on here. Other energies get followers, other energies get parishioners, other energies get, I don't know what to say, but she gets devotees. That is a distinction, because once you fall in love with her, it just never goes away. You just step into a different place where it's like, look, whatever you need, don't even ask too many times. Once is enough. You become devoted to her, because who does not want to feel love? Who does not want compassion? Who does not want this softness? So she gets devotees who are loyal to the soil. They're ready to die over her. She returns it back in every way you could think. When you are in the most dire situation of your life, she is there. She moves quickly. She thinks ahead for you. She thinks behind you. She looks around. I've been accused of bragging about her. How can you not? Everybody who's a devotee says, she's my mother. I love her. She's my best friend. She's beautiful. You don't have to know who's a devotee. You don't have to ask them. You can tell. I was watching today, I don't know, he's not a reporter. He ended up writing a couple books about her and everything, and the way he talks about her, he tries to have this like detached, well, people say this and people say that. I'm like, no, you love her. You do. You're in love with her. I can see it. Because how can you not? She's obviously shown up to him. He feels her love. He sees it. It's impossible. It's one of those energies where people come around, they're like, why do you love this spirit? Why are you guys so devoted? Like, what is this? And then your curiosity gets the best of you, and then all of a sudden now you're going to buy a statue. Now you're in love. Now you're lighting an altar because you see it. People are so passionate when they talk about her, because she really comes through. If you want to believe in spirituality, if you want to believe in prayer, if you want to believe in God, if you want to be, how do I put it? If you want to be in love with prayer and a prayer life and spirituality, then you gotta go to her. You gotta start with her. If you start with her, you will understand why people are so in love with God. By the way, there was somebody pretending to be her voice, and you hit a nerve with me. I played along with you for as long as I could. You really struck an, I told myself I wouldn't say anything. You struck a nerve with me. I took it personally, and you're gonna find out about that. Anyway, she presides in all dimensions, heaven, earth, the underworld. She's a very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy. Um, 4, she operates out of kindness and integrity. Because she always looks at situations from that perspective, even though people say like they use her to do certain things and I don't know how that works, but all I can say is not all prayers are answered when it comes to her. And that is heavily because she looks at things from every perspective. Now, I can tell you for a fact, I have gone through my gang stalking journey, and if it were up to me, this half of the city wouldn't even exist. I'll just be upfront. I'm a very honest person. I don't know why people have painted me to be like I hide and like I'm nefarious and whatnot. I'm not. People in this energy do not deserve life. That is my opinion. People don't have to like my opinion, and I don't have to care. But it's the truth. The things that people do when they gang stalk, they don't, to me, it's like I don't see it. Even if they had a traumatic childhood, even if they went through trauma, no, 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 no. Gang stalking is brutal. I went through it with God, and it was brutal with God. People who do not have God would agree that people who do this kind of thing don't deserve life. If God did not step in to slow it down, to put a full stop on it, trust me, they take it too far. They go crazy. So, the way she operates, for her to not come in wiping people out left and right, the fact that the most evil of people are still around is a testament to her kindness and her operating out of integrity. It is a testament to that. Because I promise you, looking at things the way that someone who's gone through this, I'm not saying somebody who's witnessed it, someone who's gone through it can see it, and her not lashing out with people and still just wanting to reach people is insane. I think, I don't know, I can only imagine for other people. I've seen one other person be defensive of her. I am defensive of her, of people questioning her character, calling her names. I think it says something about you. Like, it's like the one person who has bad things to say about someone everybody adores. Because to know her is to love her. She operates out of kindness and integrity. A kindness that I myself do not believe that people deserve at all. Now, that is not to say that people's karma is not coming, and that's the thing about karma. It is so delayed sometimes, because I realize that in our journeys, things don't stop right when you want them to stop, because there's something to be learned from every situation. There's something to be acquired, even from your hardships, even from your pain. There is something to be acquired from it. And though I haven't been happy about it, though I haven't felt like I wanted to experience these things, I still have to admit at the end of it that I did learn something from it. There are some parts I feel so deeply disrespected, and I think we all do. There's parts of your suffering that feel like, well, the audacity, huh? The audacity. But there's something to learn from it anyway. Number 5, she is a warrior goddess, a strategist, and she is undefeatable. And that is a proven fact. Now, one of the things that I've realized in this situation, so at first I used to look at the situation, my personal situation, one way, and I look at it another way, but I realized that a lot of the fight that is on a lot of us that have to talk about her is not because, it's not just because, like, I mean, this makes no sense. There's so many channels that people are talking about spirituality, they're reading the Bible, they're talking about spell work, they're telling people how to do things. Why is it only when it is her name that these specific people are attacked? And I realize it's because they're terrified of this energy. Even though this energy exists around us every day and everybody benefits of this energy, whether or not they know it or not, the fact that some people still are breathing oxygen is because of her grace, her mercy, and her compassion. I am telling you. Because it is nothing to take their head off. Promise, undeserving energies of life, of air, undeserving. And still, she lets these people walk around. I'm telling you, this is what I mean when I say she is patient. This is what I mean when I say she is long-suffering. And as much as sometimes I'm like, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with this. But I also trust in her judgment, and I trust in what I do not understand of her. And I just see it as she's gonna figure it out. Like, I have to leave it to her. But I also know, I think for those of us who have suffered with the kind of things that we've suffered, I also look at it as we had to be strong enough to do the work that we have to do here. And I've always described that as a little bit of a curriculum. So sometimes, and that isn't just for people like myself who have who have the task of introducing the world to her or reintroducing the world to her. But I think also just everyday people who have different missions than some of us, and it's like, listen, the hardships are where you grow. The hardships are where you learn, hopefully. The hardships are where you develop, and these trials are not easy to face. They're not things that are going to be, that you're going to be happy with. You're not always going to be proud of the circumstances that you find yourself in. Actually, you're probably never going to be proud of it. But you are going to be proud of getting over it, is what I'll say. She is a warrior goddess, and she cannot be defeated. And I always have, from day one, have always had this impression of her that she doesn't take this stuff as seriously as us who's suffering takes it. I think for us who's suffering and us who are experiencing indignities and us who are exposed to dark energy, and have to experience a side of life and of human nature that we would prefer not to know, for us, it is disgusting and depleting. But for her, I think the only part of it that really kind of moves her is what we're going through. I think for that reason, it is delicate because she's dealing with, souls that are very prized to her, that are very precious to her. She knows us very personally. But I think otherwise, it's like she doesn't really take a lot of this fighting, the fighting that people do, seriously. And the reason I've always felt that is because the energy that we use is the energy of the spirit. So whatever spirit you're invoking, you're using their energy to get anything done. And because you're using their energy, they are the magic themselves. So imagine trying to fight magic itself. You're not trying to fight an energy, you're trying to fight magic itself. The concept of magic, the energy of magic is what you're fighting. How can you defeat that? is a waste. It's a complete waste of time, and it's like an infantile effort. So when I say she's a warrior goddess, I mean that she, and it's again being the energy of love and the energy of war at the same time. It's just like I used to think, like, how does the energy of healing and the energy of war come together? And one of the reasons I love spirituality is always because when you really, really think about things, you experience them, you immerse yourself in it, it just makes sense. But obviously, you're not going to defeat magic with magic. You're not going to defeat magic at all. So she is undefeatable. And my bonus point, because I was only going to do 5 facts, my bonus point is once you embrace her, you are her. You become her. You become her to a point where it is almost like, it's almost like, I don't want to say interchangeable, even though interchangeable is what I have written down. You become her. So I've talked about where people roam around in the spirit and they pick up these energies and then they become like the energy, or they pair up with energies that are closely aligned to them. So if somebody is already, let's say, envious, and they pick up the energy of envy because it's just a vibrational match, you end up picking up the energies, or maybe not even picking up so much. Some people are just destined to come into working with these energies at a certain time in their life, but you end up getting close to whatever you are. And so you start outputting this energy into the world. And if somebody met the spirit that you're carrying as an independent, conscious spirit versus you as a person, it would be sometimes hard to differentiate what traits are because you're carrying this, like what is the spirit and what is this person, because it would be so well aligned. And the longer you stay in possession of these spirits is the more you become like them. So one of the amazing benefits of carrying this energy is that you know that you are of her. So it's kind of like how, for me, whenever I recognize a divine feminine, I recognize God in them. It's something you can say both in the light and the dark. You recognize God in people. It's impossible not to talk about her and mention divine masculine energy, because God is so on board with this mission. God is so on board with ushering her in. There is an imbalance in society when we do not honor feminine energy. There is an imbalance in society when we say that women come from a man's rib. It's a flat out lie. Men come from women's body. We birth men. We bring them into existence. And so it is not accurate to say that Eve came from Adam's rib. When the hell did you ever see anything birthed out of a man's rib or a man's anything? So it is nonsense. Nonsense. We were not made for men. There is no competition between masculine and feminine energy, because men protect women, women depend on men. And in the same way, it's okay for men to depend on women as well. And that's just on the physical. It's the same in the spirit. There is no benefit to writing women out of holy books and spiritual books when women clearly played a huge role in everything that has happened. Spiritually, the highest God is protected by women. It's all women. It's daughters, it's family members, it's a wife. Everything is carried out by women. It's not to say that there is no role for men spiritually. They have their roles as well. But when it comes to really getting things done, and war even is fought by women. And when you look at, I don't know, for, I haven't seen it so much in Greek mythology, but I've definitely seen it in African mythology, and especially in ancient Egyptian mythology, is that women hold a place of importance spiritually and as goddesses. They have very prominent positions and positions of power. And these are the oldest civilizations. These are some of the first civilizations. And so they recognize that. And I think that where we are going back, and what these homosexual secret society people are trying to stop, is they want to take the role of women and merge into women and be in feminine energy, and almost like erase women or subjugate women or put women underfoot. And it's very clear that that's not going to happen. So divine masculine men are very important, because they are men that sit in their power and they're not intimidated by women's power. They're not intimidated by women's intelligence, by women's grace, by our bodies, by our femininity. They're not trying to be us. They are themselves. They are men. They're not trying to be women. And there is a place for everyone. And no one needs to, women do not need to try to be men. We do not need to try to like step into being masculine and all of that stuff. Like, I'm not advocating any of that, but I'm saying that in the spirit, the reality is, and the truth is, that in the spirit, that men are protected by women in the spirit. My father is surrounded by female energy. He's very comfortable in that space. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he's happy in that space. Men will always tell you, like, I've always heard men say, like, if I want to hire, well, straight men, if I want to hire someone, I'm going to hire a woman to do the job. It's just nicer to be around them. It's nicer to look at them. It's nicer to deal with them. And so it shouldn't be something that's intimidating. And very, like, strong women or intelligent women should not be something that intimidates. So the fight on these messages coming out and for this rise to happen has been, for me, part of the evidence that this is secret society involvement, because I just could never put my finger on, like, well, why would it bother anyone, these messages as opposed to the other messages? It's because it will unravel all the lies, but I think it'll set people free as well. Where am I? So, who is she as a spirit? I call her the saint of lost causes. Like, when all hope is gone, when the situation is just dire, when it is insurmountable in any other way, that's who you can call. That's your 911 call. It doesn't always mean that you're deserving. Sometimes that just is your fate, what you're going through. Sometimes when I say it's your fate, it might not, I'm not even saying it's your karma. Sometimes it's your fate that you have to walk that path, that you have to go through the hardships that you're going through. You have to face the things that you faced, and it just is what it is, and you're walking through it. I think if she finds you for a purpose. I know she finds you for a purpose. If she finds you for a purpose. And I mean, the thing is, I can only speak for those of us going through this, and yes, I will speak for a collective of people. The purpose is not easy. The purpose is not going to be like fun times. It's going to be like a difficulty on this path. But there's a devotion that you keep to her because you love her, and because you have loyalty for her. And I think for a lot of us, it's the deep appreciation that comes from knowing that you can call her. Now, I don't know for everybody if it works like this for everybody, where you will go out of your way to please her, or even in some cases not even to ask for too much. You would think that you have access to this energy, and every day you'd be like, can you do this, and can I have this, and can you whatever, and not really. You ask for whatever you need. The people that I have come across that deal with divine feminine energy are just simple people. They're not people that you would expect to have like a laundry list of requests. Sometimes the things that people in this energy ask for are so small that you probably wouldn't think you need to ask to pray for things like that. And that's usually the way people behave when they're very loved, is that they feel already satisfied with relationships the way that they are. She is known for being in places where people are destitute. So she is very much known to be in places where it's very dangerous, violent gangs involved. Places where the spiritual work is like, you know, a lot. You know, you're gonna deal with things like very heavy spiritual work. Places where people are just going through inhumane suffering. That is where it's almost like she's known for being in those dark places. I love her for that. I love that about her, because she goes where she is needed most. She is our mother regardless of how we feel about it. Regardless of, she's been my mother before I knew it. And if she was my mother before I knew it, if she was there for me and so close to me before I knew it, then she's like that with everyone. There's no reason to think that. But she's an energy, a goddess energy that goes where people are in destitute, hopeless situations. She comes in for heavy causes, heavy spiritual battles, places where people are being sacrificed, whether living or dead. Situations, when I say not easily resolved, almost unresolvable situations, like this is where she comes in. So it is just a blessing to know that we have her, that we have access to her. And so people like myself, this is such an important mission. Talking about her is so important, because I am bringing a solution to situations with people who don't have another situation. And the solution is so easy. Thank goodness. Her protection is heavy. It is a 360. How did this IT company describe it? 100% antitrust or something like that. It's like, think about software where it's like, it doesn't trust anything. It doesn't want to connect to the internet. It doesn't want to do anything. It's like complete lockdown. That is how her protection is. Now, when you are going through things, you have to experience things. You have to. So I've experienced all kinds of things on this path. Things that I have to know about. I have to know how these things work. However, I have to say, no matter what happens, I know I'm okay. Why? Because she lives on the inside. She lives on the inside. And I have to talk about that. I'm going to put a pin in what I was about to say for a bit. So I talked about spiritual law. I alluded to earlier the fact that spiritual law is there for a reason. You need to give spirits the right to operate through you. And so it doesn't mean that sometimes spirits don't like from the outside kind of push you to do something. This is how spell work works. It works from the outside. So it'll like manipulate something, it'll come over you, it'll push something on you, and then you'll react in a certain way if you're not familiar with it, if you don't know better. Excuse me, but it's different when it's on the inside. When it's on the inside, they can take control of the wheel. What I mean by that is spirits now have the authority. Instead of telling you something, they do something. They just do it. Instead of telling you, let's go to Mississauga, they just go somewhere else. You see, spirits have the ability to take the steering wheel and drive. And so you never really have to worry about it, because when people meet you, they meet God. Once the spirit is on the inside, someone might think they're talking to you, they're talking to God. They might think they're getting away with something, and God is right there. This is how it works when you give them access. They don't have to tell you where they're going. They don't have to tell you what's happening. Just get it done. That's it. They just get it done. This is especially important when you're in a spiritual battle or spiritual warfare. Especially when you're dealing with secret societies and covens and cults and gangs and all this kind of stuff, and people who are soulless. Because they will paint illusions around you, and even when you see it, spirit will say, and spirit knows when to stop you. And you guys will move along with things. They'll paint illusions, they'll do things, things will happen in and around you. Things that are very scary, very dangerous otherwise. Things you would have fallen into otherwise. But because they're on the inside, they are you. They are you. You become the spirit. The spirit is you. And so you never have to worry about. There are things that from the outside, these energies might think to themselves, well, this is the reason, and that is the reason, and that is the reason, but spirit lives in you, so spirit walks the earth as you. It is important that spirit protect you from the inside and not the outside. Do not attempt to try to walk away if you're already with or inside of secret societies, cults, and covens by yourself, thinking that you're going to have spirit on the outside and not on the inside. It does not work this way. It doesn't work this way. You need them on the inside. They need the authority to jump in and out as they please, to do what they need to do to keep you safe. It is a fail safe. It is a backup. It's like the backup generator that doesn't even, I don't know what backup generators run on. I'm sure it's not electricity, but it's like that. It's a fail safe. It's like knowing that if the power went out and this cut off and that cut off, that we will still have service and power and we'll still be okay, because there is something in the background operating at all times, observing, listening. Spirit is never not with you. Once you carry a spirit, it is present every single day, all the time. Every single day, all the time. And I always say that people meet God when they meet you. Now, sometimes I'll say things like, you're going to find out about the things that you do, and people think like, oh, you're going to go curse me. I don't need to. There are some things that are very important to spirit, and people don't understand that, and I have to mention this. There are some things that people do that they piss me off more than regular, and these are the things that I'm least likely to do anything about. Reason being, and I'm just talking about me personally, reason being is because I know how much of a violation it is. Anything that blocks spirit's work, it's like you've gone too far. Like, forget everything, you've gone too far. And I know that because we get in trouble for stuff like that. Like, people who are put here, God is doing a job in everybody's life. Whether we like people or not, God is doing something in people's life. And when you step in the middle of what God is doing, and especially with people that God considers an instrument, a tool, a vessel that they possess, when in those situations, it's like you're directly saying, it's like you're directly spitting in God's face. And I've seen people who are on our side get thrown in horrible situations, or not even get thrown, but they allow things to go through in those situations, because even unknowingly you're stepping in God's way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's one thing about that. It doesn't matter if you knew or not. Decency is supposed to stop you from some of these things. So the kind of things that people do here, when it comes to God, doing things to people is one thing, and then doing things to God is another level. And these people, I just look at them like they're brave and they're crazy, and let it be, and you know, good luck to you and have a great day. This is not the energy that you want to do that with, okay? Her calm demeanor can mask a lot. This is not the energy that you want to do that with. I don't know how else to say it. This is not Jesus. It's not Jesus juice here. I have to keep saying that. Christianity paints a picture like God is just like so long suffering that they will just allow craziness indefinitely. No, 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 no. And it's not chances that you should take. This is not just we're going to turn the other cheek. No. Some things, it's like this is the real world here. This is not the Bible world. This is the real world, the real spiritual street. Some things are punishable immediately. Some things you're not coming back from. There's no such thing as letting it slide. No, you're an obstacle. You know what how they feel about obstacles. And if you're an obstacle and they let you go, it's even worse. We can only repeat it only so much, but it's like when it comes to real spirituality, I always tell people, pray to a real God, a God who is alive. You pray to Jesus. I'm not saying that something might not shake if it was meant. I'm not saying that. I think Jesus isn't. But why are you going to pray to an angel when you can go direct? You pray to a God that is alive, that is living, that is active. That is what my parents are. They are living and they're active. So when we pray to them, they come through immediately right away because they're alive, they're living, they're active. And when you also go against it, it would have been better to continue, playing the games that people took, the games that they played with Jesus, and they wanted to play it with God. The same games that they play, well, I love Jesus, and then doing horrible things and all. They took that and thought they could do the same thing here. Negatory on that story. Welcome to your $0 days. Welcome to your days of strife. Welcome, and it's quick. This is a living God. This is not the energy to offend and insult. We all have to give respect and honor. We all have to do so. It doesn't matter how much favor we have on our life. All of us have to do that. Whatever games we were playing before, we cannot play these games here, not now. And trust me, when people tell you that, you might want to fight, you might want to throw some spell work, you might want to do what you want to do, but they'll cut you down to size slowly too. Don't shoot the messenger. This is our job. We have to tell people stuff like this. This is not Christianity. This is a different world. not persecuting Christians here, because the people that are being persecuted, God will give them a green light at some point, and all that pent-up frustration, this is not Christianity. On the topic of Christianity, that's my next point. Christianity likes to center itself as like the vital belief system, like a core belief system. It's like how people who speak English like to center themselves as like, they've taken it so far, it's like English is a barometer of like intelligence. So let's measure how intelligent you are by how well you speak English. That is just a landscape where you're gonna let people who talk really well scam you. English is not a measure of intelligence, and Christianity is not the core presiding belief. I don't care how many people are Christian. So from the space of Christianity, people judge everything else. It's like the bar. This is not here. We don't care what the Christians have to say. I like Christianity. I listen to Christian preachers all the time. I'm so confident in what I believe that I don't have to fight with them. If they say no, this is that, it doesn't change the price of rice in China. I'm still gonna do what I do. But I understand possibly why they are scared. They've given people a placebo. The churches have given people a sugar pill, and they're in the back doing spell work and practicing real spirituality. I'll repeat that. They've given a placebo, and they're in the Vatican kneeling down to a black woman with a child. They know the truth. They want to pray to a real active God, but they're going to hide her. They're going to pretend that women have no place in spirituality, and they pray to a woman, a black woman, a Madonna. So Christianity has centered itself through bloodshed, through war. This was not about bringing enlightenment to people. This was about control. Because if you can control people's devotion and their heart, you can control their mind, and you don't have to expend resources to get control over them. It's what they try to do to divine beings. They try to control you through centers of circles of influence or centers of influence. So they'll try your social network, your family. If that doesn't work, they try to be the voice of God in your life. That way, they can abuse and control you remotely. Sis, you're gonna pay for that, eh? Listen, I can't hold it back. I despise you. I promise you, it was very hard. You are special to me, not funchual. Anyway, so this is a belief system that will make people not want to come to reality, to true spirituality, that will make people not want to come closer to where they're supposed to be. I'm telling you, it is a very, as much as, I'm not even gonna say it's frustrating, because I understand, because when I was waking up, had she not come to me personally, had I not already been venerating ancestors, had all of that not already been happening, I would have been very nervous. There's different aspects to her, but her aspect in her strength is, it will be intimidating to someone. It's not necessarily the energy that you would feel that you wanted to start with. You maybe wanted to start somewhere more gentle. It's very powerful, and it will be something scary that you'll say, well, I don't want to open my heart or my vessel or my soul. This is scary. But the images in the Bible are inaccurate too. Like the kind of images that they put in these books where they're not real. They put like these images that make people comfortable. They put human figures. People don't look like humans all the time in the spirit. It's all inaccurate. If there was an accurate portrayal of what's going on here, if there was an accurate portrayal of it, we would be more open to spirituality. And now we need to be truthful. She could have easily shapeshifted when I woke up and showed herself to be something else, but she showed herself to be exactly who she is. And for that, I appreciate it. She's always been very honest. She's always been upfront. She's always been truthful. That is very important, to be able to accept the reality of things the way they are and not have to lie to bring people on board. It is a manipulation. So when I woke up, I said, if I can accept her the way she is and she presents herself the way she is, there's no reason to try to manipulate it or change it. It is what it is. It just is what it is. It's what she looks like. We are dualistic beings. There's a part of her that is judgment, that is an energy that puts an end to things, that is very strong. And then there's a part of her that is the essence of love, the embodiment of love. There's a part of her that is very soft. She promotes love. She promotes passion. She promotes, passion between couples. She promotes all of that. She's many different aspects. I feel like she has every single aspect to her, but it is what it is. Now, when somebody brings you something and paints it just as light, like the way they bring these Bible stories and they paint it just as light, that is inaccurate. How can that possibly be? We are dualistic beings. Even us as human beings are dualistic beings. It is not possible to look at any one person and think they're just one thing. Just because you have a consistent experience with them one way doesn't mean that. Do not hold yourself to that. All of us, we have the ability to be passionate, aggressive, warlike, loving. Who you are as a parent is not who you are when someone hurts your kid. Even in being a parent, you can be a loving parent in 1 minute, you got to be impartial in another minute, and another minute you have to be a disciplinarian, and you can't take away any of those roles because they're all needed. You need it. So she is multiple things, and that's just what it is. There's sometimes the father energy is the same way. Can be very stern, can be very warm-like, can be warlike, can be very emotional, can be very soft, can be a beautiful energy, expressed in a unique way that is very masculine, but there nonetheless, and is not just one thing. So if you look at the Bible, the same God who is compassionate to his own people will say, let me describe to you in detail how I am going to make you understand that you should not have done that. And when you read these passages, when God is describing all of the things that they're going to do that he's going to either do to people or let happen to people, I will let evil come upon you and this and that. It doesn't mean that when they come back, when they're ready to come back, that God is not going to say, I will bring you guys back home. I will give you guys safety. I will give you rest. I will give you peace. But when they mess up, he brings war on every side. I mean, it's crazy. It's not like I'm going to drop you in your enemy's hands. Like, I'm putting war on every side of you. We are human beings. We are the same way. I want to also, while I'm here, put a pin in this. I've wanted to say this for a very long time. Those of us who get called usually are very soft, compassionate people. I think that the need of this is there's multiple reasons. You need the capacity to feel love, for sure, at a very deep level, because you're going to go through things that are going to be very crazier than normal. However, I do want to say what I have learned on my journey here thus far is that we do not need to be so long suffering that we do not step into the gifts that we have been given. And that's been something that's been impressed upon me from day one. I've chosen to hold back in a lot of ways, actually in every way possible. I've chosen to hold back because I felt comfortable in my self node. I like being kind. I like being soft. I like being gentle. But I've come so far, and it's like, there's been all these reminders like, don't go back, don't revert. And then it just got to the point where it's like, I didn't need the reminder anymore, because it's like, see, this is why I told you. As you get to see more and more of human nature. There's some of us who are pacifists. There's some of us who don't want to fight. There's some of us who just don't enjoy this feeling. But unfortunately, it is part of the role that you came here to go through these things and to fix things, for not you think fixing things, but God fixing things through you, through your vessel. So you must defend yourself to protect the vessel. You must take care of yourself. And sometimes, every time, you must make an example so you don't have to continue facing the same thing. And this has been on my heart to say for a long time. You are not a bad person for defending yourself. You are not a bad person because you're given the gifts for a reason to save you, because this is dangerous stuff. You cannot sit here and be under spell work for forever. It will break you down. You cannot be here and letting people pass their place. I understand there's a period we want to learn. I understand there's a period we want to understand. And I understand there's a period where God tells you hold back on certain things. But when you get that green light and when you've come thus far, you have to understand we're hatching. You hatch from your egg, you wake up, you get strong enough, and then you got to take care of yourself. God doesn't need to come and do every little thing for you. It's not needed. It's not needed. And the whole point of you going through it is to see every angle of the issue, because you're going to need it later on. You're going to need that energy later on. You're going to need that fight. But most of all, you're going to need that confidence to know that you can take care of yourself. This is the spiritual world. This is not Christianity. And you have to resist always thinking in a Christian way that is only Christianity likes to shame retaliation, shame self-defense, because they want people in a defenseless position. So Christianity shames these things. You're in the spiritual world now. You got to take care of yourself. I do not promote bullying. I do not promote going looking for fights, picking fights with people. I do not promote just going into people's spaces or using your spiritual gifts to make money or for selfish reasons, or I don't promote any of that. But there is only so long that you're gonna suffer and be violated while you let things go. There are some things that you're gonna let go because, I mean, if you're a loving person, you're gonna be like, this is not even worth my time. You can't, if I had to go through this journey striking at everybody who struck at me, like, I would be like, I wouldn't even have time to focus on myself. It's not about that. There is so long that people are going to continue because they're not gonna stop. And in these situations, we have to realize that people didn't just take money to do this. They maybe got the money from certain places, but I'm saying that people swore to societies and entities that they would sacrifice you. They swore, they made an oath. And so that's very dangerous for them. It's not like they have a choice. They don't have a choice to bring you down. This is the way it has been set up, unfortunately, against you. They don't have a choice. It's literally you or them. It's either you or it's them. There is no choice. There's some things that people do that are so heinous. And if you turn the other cheek, it is going to be constant. There is only so much. You're in the spiritual world now. You're not in Christianity. Christianity builds people with this mentality. We walk a middle path. What does God say? I come in peace, but I'm prepared for war. And that is the stance that we take. We always come in peace. We are always respectful. And when it comes down to it, I am always ready for battle. I am always ready for war. That is a part of me that is not going to be put away, because it is a part of me. It's how I was built, how I was made, and what I was made for. It is what I was made for. And when you carry this beautiful energy inside of you, just know that you would be stopped if this was not something, if this was something that they didn't want, you would be stopped. Spirit would hold your hand. Spirit would block it. Spirit blocks what they don't want anyway. But you cannot sit there and be pounded down like this. Like, I talk about the fact that these messages are important to me. I'm very, very serious about these messages. Boy, I am serious, eh? I am so serious about this. I have never been more serious about anything in my life. This here, my mother fought a war for this. I went through training for this. These messages are important. Just to get the messages out, we had to fight a war. I didn't fight the war for anything to stand in my way. These messages will come out no matter what it takes. It's serious. Enough is enough. I feel stagnated in giving these messages. People need this. I can tell you people need it desperately. And let me tell you something about needing a message desperately, okay? When you need a message desperately and the people that you're giving the messages to are destitute, and the people that are after them are spiritual criminals who are spiritually violent, that means you as the messenger, you're gonna face the attacks. And I've seen the repercussions of not being able to trust the messengers giving me messages. Excuse me, the people who whisper in the messenger's ear, skewing the message, giving people false messages. Sometimes God might put something on your heart that will save someone's life, save someone's relationship, save someone's path, and somebody comes in and screws that up. And you who are fighting for your life and you're in the middle of a minefield, bombs everywhere, you don't know where to put your feet, you don't know who to trust. You gotta be able to trust the messenger. That means the messenger has to know how to fight. Your messenger has to be afraid of nothing. Your messenger has to be able to defend the message that they came to give. I've been there so many times and they've taken down messenger after messenger. Some well-meaning, a lot of them took bribes. When I say this here is important, it's because I've lived it. I've lived this. This is important to give good messages that are clean, that are from the divine, that are untampered with, that are uninfluenced in any way. I will make no apologies for how I'm going to behave in regards to these messages. Anybody that blocks my path in any way, it is problematic. It is about time it ends. There are people who are suffering every day, like I suffered when I went through it. They made me feel every inch of it, trust me, and I didn't have to. They made me feel every inch of it so I can relate, so I can understand the importance of the message. Too tired, gotta give a message. Frustrated, gotta give a message. Spell work, gotta give the message. Why? Because do you remember when you needed people to show up? Did you remember when somebody didn't show up for one day and you were like refreshing their page trying to see when they're gonna come on, if they would have something to say? Yeah, that's how important it is. So when I say this here is important to me, I am serious. This is important to me, boy. This is important to me. This is important. When you get into the spiritual world, that mentality that you might want to have, because we fall in love with God and we get soft. But that mentality that you want to have, these are dangerous streets. This is a dangerous time. You were given the weapon for a reason. Use it or lose it. Don't let people siphon your energy. Don't let people come to you in dreams. Don't let people do any of the above. And if they are insistent, what do you have to do? Well, that's between you and your God, right? That's between you and God. God's not going to let you take it too far to the point where they're going to lose you. but you need to make it very clear. Very clear. You're talking about energies that don't like clear, like communication, like they like to push the boundaries. On the same day they're getting their ass bust is the same day they're coming with the foolishness again. Because these are suicidal energies, and when people fight in a suicidal capacity, when they fight like they're already dead. I just read that quote today. Fight, the best fighters fight like they're already dead. When people fight like they're already dead, they have a death wish on their life. They want to go. They're suffering. These are going to be people that are going to enjoy being beat on, as crazy as it sounds. It's like people who cut themselves to feel the pain. They're going to continue doing things that are going to be so violating, and it's violating to God. But this right here, when it comes to these messages, this, for me personally, this is a personal boundary. I talked to God about it too. I was like, look, hey, you might not like my methods, but you need a message out there. You need a message out there. You put me in this position for a reason. The message is going to come out. People that need these messages need loving messages. They don't need me to be here battling spell work while I'm on camera silently going through the worst, just trying to get through. Like, it's not gonna happen. This is now. This is September 2024. This is not then. In September 2024, it's a different world. This is what it looks like when you've stepped completely into your destiny. And what these messages represent is my destiny. That's my destiny that people tried to steal. I'm standing in it. Game over. That's why it's so important to me. I had to fight to keep my destiny. My parents had to fight for this, just for me to keep this. 2 years. So this here is what I was born for. This is important to me. This is the most important work that I do. And it's not gonna stop. I will let nothing get in my way. And I mean that. Do not let anything get in your way. You're here for a reason. If you feel drawn to spirit, you feel the need to carry spirit's energy, you feel that spirits come to you and they talk to you, it's because you have a spiritual purpose. And you don't know. This purpose is so important. They're not just trying to take it just to take it. Like, I mean, you're literally, for me, I am encouraging. When I first came on here and I was giving my messages, I know for a fact I was a problem. The whole internet wanted to turn on me. I was a problem. I was telling people they're tracking you through your phone. Turn the phone off. I felt the energy change. They were like, whoop, what did she say? I felt the energy. They started coming at me. I was getting spell work from every direction. Why? Because I'm telling people the truth. I'm telling people real information that they need to know. And I know, and listen, I'm telling you, I know whenever I would come on, spirits would just be like, yes, here we go. Let's get a little drink. Let's get some popcorn. She's about to come on. Because, I mean, I was putting on a show. But I meant it. I meant every ounce of this. And I could feel it and I could tell, because there were certain times I'd come and people would be like, oh my God, you always come on time, online, right on time. Because I'd be doing something and some of my spirits would say, come online. And I would take a look at some of these people that I was talking to and I'm like, these are men. A lot of them are men. And I'm thinking these people feel isolated. They're facing so much BS messages on the internet. You can't trust this place. I couldn't trust any messages. You can trust them for maybe a week, and as soon as somebody notices you're watching them, whoever's hacked, and they change the message and it's BS. And I'm telling you, I used to come online and it was like, I think people could feel your authenticity. They know you're real, TI, that you're suffering as well. And I'm giving these messages in the wildest spell work you could think of. I'm coming off of the road. They just 1,000 cars on me, coming in here, putting this on, more spell work, people coming in my energy, projecting into my home, all of this kind of stuff. I have to sage the whole message, all of this that I have to do, just to what? Because it's effective. I'm motivating people. I'm helping people feel strong. It's not to say that I'm changing your problems, but when you come here, you're going to hear something, you'll be like, oh, because let me tell you, when you turn that cell phone off, you make them work extremely hard. Because now they have to astral project everywhere you are. They have to go out of their way. It becomes tough. So tough, they used to try to put ads on my thing that say, put a digital calendar on your, like what? I'm going to put the time I go to the grocery store in my calendar. But I know in me how important it is when you have nobody that you can trust besides you and spirit, and they're trying to block your connection to spirit. That when you're able to just have one person in this world that you feel a connection to, that you can trust. You don't know these people, but you can trust the messages that are coming, and you can see that they're going through a tough time spiritually, but you appreciate them that much more, knowing that they fought through all of that heavy stuff to come here and do this. First you start doing it for the love of God, and then you start doing it for the love of people, because you're like, yeah, people don't deserve that. And it really touches my heart when it's men that go through that, because you always want to see men strong. You always want to see men standing in their power. And to see people brutalize men, it's not about race. To see people brutalize and reduce a man, it does something to me personally. Like it upsets me, it hurts me. So I'm just like, no, I don't want to come on here. And I used to tell them, I'm not coming on here to cry, because I don't feel like crying. I'm not coming on here. So I was in what people might call emasculine energy. They called me arrogant, and they said I wasn't ladylike and whatever. I didn't care. I'm not speaking to a bunch of women. I'm speaking to men who need strength, who need to walk out there and see, because I assume the way that they gang stalk men is different from women. Now, they gang stalked me aggressively. I'm sure with men now, they want you to feel scared for your life. So I gotta come and speak life back into you. I gotta come back and say, they're not gonna shoot you. They're not gonna shoot you. If they intended to shoot you, they would. They want to make you a living sacrifice. You're no good to anybody dead. I have to come here and say those kind of things. That used to trigger people, because right when I say it, they hit me with something. If I say God loves you, they hit me with something. Everything was a problem. These messages, and then God would confirm to me, people feel better after they're done listening to you. So people come, this energy that I have, that I carry, her energy, she's giving it to people through the words. And so my composure, my temperament when I come on here is a transference of that energy of hers. So if I come here and I'm upset and I'm angry and I'm whatever, and I used to be sometimes in an angry mood at the people that I'm talking to. It's like I'm belittling them some days, and it's like I know that's not my energy, and it's like all of this spell work is kind of, I'm like, they don't deserve to listen to that garbage. They're going through enough. People are trying to block this message. No, we're not doing it this time. No. If I have to sit here, it's because I really gotta hold people's hands and walk them through something very difficult. Very difficult. And as difficult as mine was, like I said, I walked through a spirit, and they're telling me I don't even know what suffering is. I don't even know what suffering is what they said. I'm like, what? I see other people give the messages, it's the same thing. Suffering. We are here to bring an end to the suffering. So these messages are going to have elements to it that are going to piss people off. Why do you think they fought me so hard? Because I'm here to be an obstacle to spiritual evil, to break people free, to bring hope where there was no hope. I can never get out of this. I can never walk away. And I'm just here like, what? What do you mean? Let's go this way. Watch your foot. That's what I'm here for. And whatever show that I put on before, it's about to be a spectacle now. Because I'm not letting anybody get away with anything. I don't have to anymore. I don't have to anymore. God doesn't have to worry about me anymore in the same way. They do have to worry about me. They've made it clear. They're like, we gotta always worry about you. But not in the way that they used to anymore. So, you know, don't let the necessary occur, because it will be necessary. Um, I want to talk about one thing I want to point out about our mother. I'm going to stop calling her just my mother. She's our mother. Her appearance is going to be intimidating. If she came to you full force, boy, when the hood is back and she sits on her throne in her power, crystal clear, looking directly at you, yeah, strong energy. And that is a plus, because that's who you want to protect you. That's who you want standing over your bed at night. That's who you want roaming your house, roaming the outside, going before you. Before you get to the door of where you're going, she's already inside, scanning the whole place. If she sees something she doesn't like, she's like, oh, we're not going in there, we're not going, turn around, turn around. You're like, why do I feel the need right now to buy ice cream and I don't eat ice cream? And you're hesitating at the door. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy ice cream. That's her saying, we're not going in there. That's who you want to be with you in the scariest of times. So do not take her appearance as intimidating. Feel her energy. She does not lie. If anything, she might not tell you, or she'll hesitate to tell you, or she'll say, don't worry about that right now. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. She is not whatever energies that have tried to destroy her name and her reputation. She will rise up, and she is rising up. Some of the most beautiful people so we can see them, judge their character, and say, this is a divine person. They have exquisite taste. They pick the finest of human beings to represent them. So you never have to ask yourself if someone is divine or not. You cannot replicate this energy. It's not energy that you could pretend to have. You either have this or you don't. Even at your lowest point, at your angriest point, people can see that you've been provoked or pushed or whatever, and that you're not just a naturally evil person. No matter how people have tried to paint me black in my city over and over, and I'm not there, but I can tell you, I know people are like, she's not like that. She's not like that. If she's like that, something happened. She's not like that. I think people have always been sooner to listen to whatever I have to say, or whatever I say about a situation. They're like, this girl doesn't bother anybody. Not for 1 year, not for 2 years, for 10 years. Doesn't make any sense. And people know these people anyway. So just know, when you come into alignment, when you finally are able for her to show herself, when you're ready, do not be afraid. Every time in the Bible an angel showed up to someone, what did the angel say? Be not afraid. That's because they didn't look the way that you expect them to look. I promise you, they're not going to look like that. Everything is of service to God. You will know that. And when you're of service to a real alive God, the most highest God, demons will not attack you. People might attack you. Demons will not come. They will respect you. They will respect your spiritual authority and your spiritual rank. It's the people who will do it. They'll send demons to you, and you will never experience any horror. As a matter of fact, even the demons come with respect. I'm not joking. The demons come with respect. The demons come and they're like, how are you? They call you sister. They call you brother. The demons. So trust me, everything is of service to God. So who are we? When angels come, the first thing in the Bible they say is, be not afraid. Don't look at it in a horrible way. I'm not advocating demonic worship. I only worship my parents. I only put them on an altar. That is what I'm advocating. But I'm saying, once we change the way we look at the world, we can enable ourselves to overcome the difficulties and the difficult situations that we're in. It takes the changing of the mentality first to allow the help to come. And me, like you, like everybody else, we at first are very nervous of this. We're like, what is this? I'm just here to tell people It is okay. You're safe. You have never been more safe. And let me tell you, like she said, you have never had a friend like me. You've never had love like this. You've never, and she comes to you sometimes first in somebody else, with an experience with somebody else first, and with that human experience, then you recognize her energy when she comes second. Because you're like, whoa, I know this energy. I recognize this. I can trust this. This feels familiar. She is a strategist. She's perfect. I'm telling you, because she needs you. She needs you to know her. So if you feel her first, you know, everybody's relationship is different. Everybody's journey is going to be different. But she's, I call her the way, the truth, and the light, because she is. And she does not reside in the underworld. She resides in heaven. She can go everywhere. That's exactly what my next point was, is that our mind and our mentality at the core needs to adjust so that we can better accept, first of all, not just better accept divine energy when it shows up, but to better accept your journey. Because if she's showing up, it's like, look, if you, let's say you're coming home to your neighborhood and you see the police in the neighborhood, one car is okay. You see 6 cars, you're like, okay, something big is going on. If you see SWAT teams, then they're not there for a great time. If you see the SWAT team coming silently, like running on their little feet with the little thing to blow the door open, like they're not there for a good time. So if she comes, if she has to come herself, it means you got a tough fight on your hands, and you don't know why. You may not know the full details. That's why I always say it's better you don't know. Because if you know up front, you might have some trouble getting off the bed. They want you to know, to be aware, and to be just open with you, because that's how they are. The relationship's always an open book. But some things, if you know, you're gonna panic. You're gonna panic. It is what it is. So if she shows up, it is because there is a battle that is so heavy. There is no other entity that is stronger than her that can defeat her. You know, possibly Father, but they don't operate that way. There's no possibility that they would have confusion. So, you know, if she shows up, it's because you need heavy artillery for your fight. And they're going to keep impressing on you that, you know, they really need to connect. They need to tether to keep you safe for no other reason. It's not just for, you know, she doesn't show up to everybody, is what I'm saying. I think I don't know, well, I can't say she shows up to few people, but she does not show up to everybody. She does not show up to everybody. So it's really important that I always stress, don't be afraid. I have put up her picture from day one on my profile because, you know, I live in my own world, and in my world, I'm so happy to have her. And I don't know how other people have taken it. People just haven't really like said one thing or the other, one way, even from the beginning. When I had more genuine followers on here, and it wasn't like the organized gaslighters and the fake pages and whatever. Even from the beginning, people just really didn't bat an eyelash. But that's probably because of me. That's probably because it's my face, and they're like, well, she doesn't look like, you know. That's how with me that I got open to spirituality, is I was like, well, the person talking, just seemed normal. So let me just listen. It sounds crazy. Some of this I think is insane, but let me listen. I don't understand all of it, and then slowly but surely open up to it. That's the point. When you're a good person, you're an authentic person. I am an authentic person. I'm not perfect. I'm not 100% good either. I can be very, very mean. When I'm provoked, I don't like to be provoked. I don't like that side of me. I have a shadow side like everybody else. So nobody ever has to tell anybody, oh, No, I'm saying it. I can be very mean. I can be very stern and very strict. But at my core, I'm a very loving person, very compassionate, very kind. I care about people that I don't even know. And I think if God likes me the way that I am and chose me for something like this, then, you know, it is what it is. It's not to say that any of us are ever going to be perfect or not make mistakes, but we really want to always still embody goodness in ourselves. So you walk a middle path. That's what it's about. Accepting the fact that you have a shadow, accepting the fact that you're going to have to fight spiritually. We want to come into our spiritual bodies. Why am I talking like this from the onset? Because I don't want you to think you're stepping into the role of, like, you know, like a little, I don't want to say angel, because angel has the connotation of just purely good, but angels are spiritual warriors on the side of light. So I don't want to say to anybody or give the impression, yes, God is light, yes, God is beautiful, yes, God is the energy of light, but that means you're going to just allow things to, no, I'm going to start telling you guys that you got to protect yourself and defend yourself, or else this thing is going to be bad. If you can manage to stay on your feet, but you're not fighting back and nobody's feeling anything, if you can manage to stay on your feet, they're going to come 10 times harder every single time, because they got to get you off your feet. They got to feel it. How else are you going to learn? They got to feel it. It's not to say you're going to be cruel, you're going to go out of the way, but they got to feel it. If people don't feel an example, then what's going to happen? They're going to just take everything for a joke. And if you're being gang stalked, believe me, this is one day of gang stalking is so unbearable for the average person. Between everything that you, from the spiritual stuff, the sabotage, the ridicule, the everything, the following, the hacking, like one day is just so much that you going through this every day for so many years. Oh my goodness, it's just not okay. It's not okay. So you gotta defend yourself in the spirit. It's very important. Let me wrap this up quickly. What time do I have here? Let me wrap this up. She represents feminine power, which is not something that we talk about. I love the fact that she represents feminine power in such a soft, delicate way. Very soft and delicate. I talk about the fact that she is a female king. She sits on the throne. But what I find even so much more impressive than that is the fact that she does sit on the throne, but at the same time, she doesn't need to advertise it. She doesn't need to put it out there, put it in anyone's face. If I didn't see this for myself, she would have never mentioned it. Very humble. Saying all of that, I remember I wrote down very graceful, and then there's this viral thing that if anybody's on social media, they'll hear this one girl says very graceful, very mindful, very demure. She's like that. She's very mindful of other people. She's very demure. She's very beautiful as a spirit. She is very inspiring, and she doesn't emasculate people or tear them down or abuse them in any way. Like, she's not that type of energy. She's just a very beautiful energy. She's patient. And I had it written, I think I already said it. She definitely cautions me not to be soft. There's a time and a place to be soft, but in spiritual warfare, it's suicide waiting to happen, boy. This thing that I have not wanted to let go of, it's like, no. It's not even that I have no choice. I'm very happy to get rid of it immediately, because it's like having, it's like being in like a little bloody suit while they're hunting you down, and they have like the dogs like chasing you, and like you're in a suit covered in. It's like, what? You're attractive to crazy energy. You're attractive to energy that likes to abuse soft, loving people. Like, of all the people, it's just the people with kindness and love and loving energy that they want to abuse the most. So you got to make sure that you girdle up in the spirit, that you armor up in the spirit. Is so important. I'm going to keep repeating it, because people that get gang stalked are soft, kind, loving people. These are the people that need the message more than anything. You gotta armor up in the spirit. If she's working inside of you, it's because your work is extremely important and you don't understand how important your work is. I was today years old when I sat back and I said, wait a minute, I said this from before, that it's the rise of the divine feminine. I said that. But now it's impressing upon me, like, we're almost like rewriting the Bible with these messages. That's why they fought this tooth and nail. We're damn near rewriting history books by saying that women are spiritually powerful. We have powerful ranks, and there's a woman sitting on the throne. That's important to say. That's important to know. We are missing half of everything if we don't say that. It's the truth. She's gonna allow you to learn on this journey, so she's not going to come in and correct you right away. She's not gonna be immediate. There are gonna be a lot of times that she's gonna be like in my situation, she tells all the time, just be quiet. Shh. Don't say anything, don't walk away. Shh. Just go through this. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it's hard. It's hard to play along. I've played along so much here. Oh my gosh, I could faint from playing along with stupidity. I could faint from it. Just so ridiculous. But she's not gonna always correct things. She wants you to see. She wants you to see things. So you'll wonder, like, why doesn't she pull me back? Why doesn't she tell me what's going on? Why does it? No, she wants you to see. People here, like I said, I used to always wonder, why do they hate her so much? There are so many reasons. I can't even get into it. I never understood it before. Now I do. She allows you to learn. She doesn't want you to learn the hard way. She doesn't want you to like touch the stove and really burn your hand completely. But she allows you to learn just enough to know what you need to know moving forward. And you're gonna need to know things moving forward. You're gonna need to not make mistakes over and over, but she allows you to get it. And I've been learning to do things her way a lot, because I used to want to tell people before it's their time to learn or see. I'd run and be like, oh my God, they're sending you spell work, they're doing this, they're doing that, and want to force them to see it. But they will see it. If she's calm, I need to be calm. I need to learn that. Well, I did learn that. I did. I'm like, wait, if she's calm, why am I stressing? And the hook, line, and sinker, everybody always gets it. There's always a point where people are just like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And people think for themselves. And so that happens for all of us. It happens for me. But I also trust also with her relationship that she has with everybody. And this relationship is so unique that you're going to feel like you're the only person that she loves. I'm telling you. You're going to feel like an only child. That is the beauty of it. You're going to feel like the most important person in the world. Now, that is the way you want to be loved. But I trust that with her unique relationship that she has with everyone, that she also allows people to play possum as well. She probably also tells a lot of us, when you're just about to say something, just hold you back. Just go with it. Go with the flow. Roll with it. See how things go. And just let it naturally flow and see how things work. And I've learned, I don't like to admit it, but I've learned a lot from playing possum, because you're playing possum for a reason. It's not just, you're playing along for a reason. Trust me, the information you get from playing along is invaluable. Even though, you might not like it. Honestly, you might be like, wait, these people are really taking me for a jackass. That's how I feel. I'm like, what? But that's life. She's very compassionate. That's all I can say. And I want to just say that she's perfect. I don't know what to tell you. I don't have a criticism. I just don't have one bad thing to say. I've never heard anybody have a bad thing to say. I am a person who could find something to criticize everywhere, trust me. I just cannot find after I can't find anything. She is our mother. She is the mother of the universe. The way God the Father is the creator, she's also the creator. They are two sides of the same coin. In the same way that men and women are two sides of the same coin, we like to separate ourselves as if we are different in some way, and we are not different. We are two sides of the same coin. And the last thing I'm going to say before I close out, the Greeks have a saying that when a soul, one soul comes to earth, it splits in half and they are cursed to wander the earth forever and always feel empty until they find the other side of them. And I believe that now more than anything. I think that you might be born in one country, find yourself in another, all kinds of things, but you just know when you're not complete, and when you find that other missing piece of yourself, you feel it. That is how it feels like when you find God. You find the other missing piece of yourself, and you're like, no, this feels very perfect. This fits perfectly. This is myself. God feels like a piece of yourself. That's what it feels like. It feels like a very perfect version of yourself. I don't want to deviate from this beautiful message that I've given today to read this Bible verse. People here know they're under judgment. They're living it. We don't want to keep talking about that. This is a message about my mother, our mother, as I'm gonna get used to saying. And she's going to have her moment. Finally. And I hope that these messages that I give are going to inspire people to just take the first step. You know, and I admit sometimes with spirituality, it comes at a desperate time where you're just like, oh man, I gotta try something. And then you make that prayer. But I think it definitely helps when somebody else says, no, it's okay, I've done it too. If people can convince people to do drugs and do all kinds of bad things by saying I've done it too, then I'm gonna go ahead and say, yes, she's definitely going to look intimidating, but she's not gonna come in that energy. And I think she looks like that a lot more when you can handle it. I don't think she just comes out like that, because she didn't with me. She's very soft, 99%. She's like not in that energy. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. When it's time to go, it is time to go. And it's time to get things done and be strong. And she expects that, and she will push you to your highest potential, boy. No excuses is a motto. So when that time comes, accept it and embrace it. And I just like, I feel so good. Last night I felt good. I woke up in a good mood today. I had to stop myself from coming on too early because I was so excited, because it's like finally it just feels so good. And I feel like I've been delayed, but also I just want to, the time is now. You know, you get to the right time at the right time, and you know the time is now. So it is what it is, you know, and I know I'm definitely gonna have to defend this for sure. I just know, because this is how this energy works. I'm gonna have to do something at some point. But I thank you guys for listening to my message, and if you're just seeing my message, maybe not on the live but afterwards, thank you for sticking it through this message. I hope it brings hope and peace, and I'm definitely gonna try to drop good nuggets. I cannot drop too much anymore because people have abused knowledge. But, you know, maybe not in a spiritual sense, but in other ways I can drop some nuggets that can like really alleviate the suffering, and as much as I can get permission to. But anyways, thank you. Have a good night. And remember that God genuinely loves you. You're not alone. You are never alone. They cannot trust you to be by yourself in these kind of battles. God loves you, and you are going to be perfectly fine. This is going to be done, and you will find happiness again. Have a good night.